Hi students, we completed in last video up to that nuclear fusion reactions, and that is regarding fusion we see, that is the energy produced by the stars, that is because of nuclear fusion reactions. Okay, that where you can be observed that hydrogen is converting into helium, and the two types of cyclic process can be takes place inside the stars, which will give you the continuous emission of radiation by the stars because of they are observed to be having shining or glittering nature. Brightness of that object, that is nothing but stars, that we can be observed as there is the internally we can be having these nuclear fusion reactions takes place. That is the main cause to get that radiations from the stars, correct? And the cyclic processes, one is a proton-proton cyclic and cycle, another one is a carbon-nitrogen cycle, where the resultant one is the 4 protons are combined to get the helium nucleus along with the energy, that is positrons and energy. So continuously the total hydrogen in the stars, that matter is converting into helium. Up to that extent that reactions are continuously takes place and that energy can be emitted by the stars. So that we seen in the last video, right? So now in this video or this day or today we can just covered what are the differences between fusion reactions and fusion reactions, and radioisotopes, what are radioisotopes and where they can be used. Great. So these two we can discuss today. Now here differences between fission and fusion. So the differences mainly we can be observed here is the first observation. You can write the definition of fission. So first one here we can be write here it is, which one we are taking? It is fission, and here we are taking the fusion. Okay. Now you can be make it observe that what are the differences can be seen between these two. So first one, if you see in case of this fission, write the definition. So here it is heavier unstable nucleus splitting or divided, splitting into 2 or more stable nuclei with energy. Here heavier unstable nucleus splitting into 2 or more stable nuclei with energy. So this is what it is called as the definition. And similarly for this one fusion also, you can write for fusion it is combining, adding, right, fusing, that is here lighter unstable nuclei are fused together form stable nucleus with energy. Forms stable nucleus or nucleus with energy. So this is what it is called as the fusion reaction, right? And second one, to make the fission reactions, what are the required can be observed? We can be observed to be having the neutrons are required. Slow neutrons are made, bombarded with that fuel, uranium, right? So here neutrons are required. Here which materials are required? Neutrons are required to get this fission reaction. And whereas here it is protons are required. To make these to get the fusion reactions, right? And similarly third one, and in this the fuel or the neutrons are required, there protons are required. But these type of reactions can be takes place at a room temperature and at atmospheric pressure. So here at atmospheric pressure and temperature it can be takes place at normal temperature and pressure. So this process can be observed. But whereas here very high temperature and very high pressures are required. temperature about 10 power 8 Kelvin and pressure, high temperature and pressure about these are 10 power 5 or 6 atmospheres. Right. Next one. The amount of the mass converted to energy in this case is only just about 0.1% of the mass of the uranium is converting into energy. So here it is only 0.1% of mass converted into energy. Mass into energy. Into energy. What about here? Here there is a mass about 0.7% of mass converted into energy. And if you observe the energy released per nucleon, how much amount of the energy per nucleon in each reaction. So for this fission reaction, energy per nucleon is nothing but 200 million electron upon 235. It will become as about 0.85 million electron of energy can become per nucleon in case of fission reaction. So in case of fission reaction, what do you have? It is energy per nucleon. Energy per nucleon is 0.85 million electron volts of energy we can get. And in case of these, it is about 6 million electron volts of energy per nucleon we can be get. And another difference where it is observed to be having. To get this, we require the fuel. The fuel required for fission is uranium or plutonium. They are costly or high values, high cost is there. It is very hard to get this nuclear fuel for fission reaction. That is here, fission fuels are costable or they are high cost. The cost is very high for fuel to get this fission reaction. So cost of fuel is high. Cost of fuel is high. So here the fuel cost is cheap. Fuel cost is cheap or very low price, because hydrogen is, you can be observed in atmosphere also. In air you have a lot of hydrogen, water, H2O, hydrogen. So hydrogen is very cheaper compared to these fission fuels, right? And these are observed to be having, these both are used for the destruction purpose, and also we can use the construction purpose only for this one, not for fusion, as the device not yet constructed till now. As the temperature and pressure we have to maintain to get that reaction, that much temperature, the devices parts can be always gets melted. We cannot be construct that type of devices as of now, right? So only we can be used these fission reactions are can be takes place in a device that is called nuclear reactor. There you can be convert that nuclear energy into useful work for different power generations or wherever it is required, right? So anyways, you can write the next one is the principle involved in the working of atom bombs is fission reactions. Uncontrolled chain reactions, those are nothing but fission reactions, right? So here you can write working principle of atom bombs is nuclear fission reactions. And similarly, if you come to this hydrogen bombs, there the principle involved is fusion reactions. Hydrogen bombs, right? And these type of reactions you can be observed in nuclear reactors. So taking place in nuclear reactors, and whereas here you can be observed to be having in fusion, they will be takes place in stars. So taking inside stars, taking place inside stars, right? So these are what you can be observed that main differences are between these are fission and fusion, right? Here heavier is splitting into smaller lighter nuclei with energy, and here lighter and stable combined fuse together and get the heavier stable nucleus along with energy. And there we can be seen other different observations related to both how much mass is converting into the energy and what is the energy per nucleon in each case, and what are the requirements are there to make that reactions to be takes place. Here neutrons are required, here protons are required, there the temperature pressure, here the temperature pressure, and mass conversions and energy produced and where they can be used, right? So all these are the differences between these fission and fusion we have, right? So easily we can remember once you are having the information about both the reactions, easily we can remember these differences, right? Now we can be see next one is radioisotopes. So what are radioisotopes? Where they can be applicable? Okay, that we'll see now. Radioisotopes. So you might be heard about them, but as of now we can be discussing this chapter related to those information about the radioisotopes and where they can be applicable, where they can be used, right? Radioisotopes, the name itself it is giving the information about that isotope. Isotope, that isotope of any element which is an unstable state, which are having a very small half-lives. The isotopes of any given nuclei which are unstable and having very small half-lives, so they are called as the radioisotopes. So the isotopes which are in radioactive in nature, the isotopes of given nuclei which are in radioactive in nature having very small half-life. The half-life of that nuclei will be very small, right? That is called as a radioisotope, right? Now we can do this. What are radioisotopes? Radioisotopes. So the isotopes of the given nuclei which are in radioactive in nature having very small half-lives are called radioisotopes, right? So here the isotopes of nuclei which are the isotopes of nuclei or element whatever, isotopes of nuclei which are radioactive in nature, which are radioactive in nature with very small half-life, are called radioisotopes. Right? So this is the definition for radioisotopes. And where these radioisotopes can be used? So that is you can be observed to be having these uses. So uses of these radioisotopes. So they can be used majorly in the medical applications, the field of medical field. The majority application of these radioisotopes are used in medical field for diagnosis and treatment of different disorders in our body. These are radioisotopes can be used, right? Especially you can be observed these radiosodium, that is Na24. So this is a radioactive in nature, not a general element of sodium. Sodium is you can be having Na1122. It is 11, the atomic number doesn't matter, but here isotope will be changes only mass number, right? So the mass number is 24. This is called as a radiosodium, correct? Which is used in medical treatment or medical applications, where whenever a medicine is taken by any person, how that medicine can be distributed all over the body. that is a distribution of the medicine into the body, that is a different organs or parts, how it is distributed along the veins or along these body vessels. So whatever that study, so proper distribution of that medicine is taking place or not, or anywhere clotting, or anywhere it is trucking off, or any problem. That type of observations can be seen by using which one it is? Radiosodium. Radiosodium is used to make or observe which one it is? It is observed to be having the how the given medicine is distributed in the body of human beings. The body parts, how it will be distributed. So medical distribution, medicine distribution, medicine distribution, medicine distribution in body. So to study about this, we can use radiosodium, right? And the other radioisotopes, like you can be observed to be having these phosphorus 32, phosphorus, radio phosphorus, it is called radio phosphorus, phosphorus, it is P32. This is a radio phosphorus which is used to treat the skin diseases, to identify, diagnosis of the skin diseases. The treatment of skin diseases, we can use which one is? Radio phosphorus. Radio phosphorus. It is skin diseases. And third one. Here iodine, radio iodine. Radio iodine. So this iodine is also having that there are two applications, which is one is I-128 and one more radio iodine is I-131. So here iodine having the mass number is 128, one more radio iodine is 131. So this one, that is 128, radio iodine 128 is used to study or treatment of thyroid glands, to make the treatment of which one is? Thyroid glands. About that thyroid glands, any disorders are there, to treat that we can use which one is? It is a radio iodine of I-128, and there is one more is there, radio iodine of 131. So this is used to make a treatment of diagnosis as well as treatment of brain tumors. Brain tumors. Brain tumors. So regarding the brain tumors, we can use this iodine 131, radio iodine 131, which is diagnosed as well as a treatment for the brain tumors. We can use this iodine. Iodine is this one is an important one, right? So this is what we can be observed to be having in medical observation. And also radio iron. Radio iron is used to diagnose and treatment of anemia. Diagnose and treatment of anemia in body, right? So that is radio iron is used to diagnose as well as treatment of anemia. So these are the different applications in medical area, medical application, medical uses by using this radio isotopes. So this is the isotope of sodium, this is the isotope of phosphorus, iodine isotopes and iron isotopes. They are having the isotopic nature, having very small half-lives and used in medical field as what is called, right? And similarly, second application, especially you can be observed in geology, the field of geology. So where you can be observed to be having here, this is carbon isotopes 614, that is carbon 614. It is a radio isotope of carbon. It is called as a radiocarbon, which is used, already you might be here, carbon 14 dating. So we can be calculate the age of fossils, in geology. We can be use this radiocarbon, that is carbon 14, age of fossils can be determined. And also we can be use the age of rocks can be determined. In geology field we can be use age of rocks by comparing the amounts of uranium and lead. The ratio of the masses of uranium and lead in a given sample, we can find out the age of rocks also. Here uranium 238 Pb 206. So the ratio of these two can be used to determine what is the age of that rock. So by using this one, you can be having here the mass of uranium and mass of the lead in the given sample, because this sample will be the conversion of this material into this one only. It is a stable one. So this only the end product will be come to only lead. After that there is no further fission reaction. Right. So because of that, if you are comparing the masses of this one to this, we can be see how many years it will be there before that reaction takes place. Accordingly, we can get the age of rocks. We can determine age of rocks. And next one. So this is in the field of geology. This is in the field of which one it is? Medical, right? Medical application or medical field. And also you can be used, or these radioisotopes are used in industry, where these radioisotopes are used to know or study about the any flaws are present in the given metals, flaws or any disorders, any crack or any problem inside that material. We cannot be dig something and making the opening and seeing. It is not possible for any metals, any solid material inside, whether it is a pure one or not, whether it is correctly is there or not, any vacuums are present or not. How you can be find out? By opening that we cannot be seen. No? So what you can use? You can use the radioisotopes to make that type of observations or calculations. The given solid or crystals are pure one, or they are having any defects or not, can be determined. So here flaws in metals can be find out or can be studied or identified by using radioisotopes. And also to study about the alloys, where that process called as you can be having hardening of the material, or you can be make that annealing, ANNELING, that is annealing, right? That type of process you might be here. These quenching, annealing and hardness of the given alloys can be studied by using these radioisotopes also, right? So here one is flaws in metals, we can be studied by using the radioisotopes, and also we can be use these radioisotopes to study about the alloys. We can be study where the process is hardening or quenching. So these process can be studied for an alloy by using the radioisotopes. And these radioisotopes are also used in agricultural field. In agriculture field also it can be used. We can have the phosphorus and sulfur. These are the major isotopes. Radioisotopes are used to study about the plants. So especially first one is the radiophosphorus P32. Radiophosphorus P32 is used in agricultural field, where the study about uptake of phosphorus into the plants. The proper uptaking of the phosphorus into the plants are not uptaking from the roots to all parts of all branches of the tree or that plant, whether that phosphorus is properly distributed or not, proper uptaking takes place or not, that we can be identified or studied by using which one? Phosphorus isotope, radioisotope, that is a P32. Radiophosphorus is used to study about the uptake of phosphorus in plants. Right. So this is a phosphorus 32 is used to uptake of phosphorus in plants. Right. And there is one more is there, sulfur. Yes, it is 34. Sulfur is okay. Yes, 34 you can be having. Phosphorus 32, sulfur 34. So this is used to study about the proper distribution of minerals in the plants or not. Distribution of minerals, we can be study in the given plant is properly taking place or not. That is the proper distribution of or even distribution of minerals in the plants can be studied by using this sulfur 34, right? So here it is a mineral distribution. Mineral distribution in plants. We can be study distribution in plants. We can be studied by using this sulfur, radio sulfur, right? So these two are major uses in your agricultural field, right? Medical field, geology, industry, agriculture, and also we can be general observations in food preservation. Food preservation. So the radiations which are coming out from that radioisotope, that radiations are allowed to fall on that food materials so that the food material cannot be gets destroyed. They cannot be get changes into their unwanted. It is not useful for eating. The stuff or the food materials can be preserved for longer duration where radioisotopes can be used. If you are having that radioisotope which is emitting the radiation, that is allowed to fall on that food material so that they cannot be get damaged. So it can be gives you longer service or it cannot be damaged within small span, right? It can be span of longer time, it can be easily maintained, sustained, right? So that is observed in food preservation. Right. So I can write it as fifth one. Radioisotopes are also used in food preservation. Food preservation. And sixth one. We can also make the mutations. That is the plant mutations. And we will get the new hybrid plants. By irradiation of this radiation coming from the radioisotopes, they are allowed to make the incident on the seeds of the given plant. The seeds of the given plant can be irradiated by the radiations of the radioisotopes so that the seeds can be gets mutated. That means the plant's mutations can be take place where the yielding can be increased. The yielding, crop yielding, the crop production, the output, we want to get more. The seeds can be gets hybridized, which represents that hybrid seeds we can be called, so that the plants can be gives you more yielding, the production can be gets enhanced. So that is we can be having one more observation, that is to make the yielding in crops to be enhanced by irradiation of these radiations coming from the radioisotopes. That is sixth one. I can write it is enhancement of yielding of crop. Yielding of crop by irradiation of radioisotope on the seeds of the plants. Correct? By irradiation of radiation from radioisotopes. This is what it is called as another application. That is we can increase the yielding capability or yielding capacity of the crop can be enhanced. That means hybrid, you can be say the hybridization, hybrid seeds we can be get or hybrid crops will gives you more yielding. So that can be observed or make that process by irradiation of that radiations coming from the radioisotopes onto the seeds so that they can be gets gene mutation of the plants. So there the yielding can be enhanced. Right? So that also we can be having the another application for this which one? Radioisotopes, right? What are radioisotopes? Where they can be used or applicable, right? So these are the different observations where that radioisotopes can be applicable, right? Okay, from this I can conclude this video and we will see remaining part in the next video, right? Sign off.